We got my good friend Frank Holmes here, the co-founder of Hive Mining, the first crypto mining company to go public. How you doing today, Frank?
Outstanding, my friend. And I'm very bullish because markets are selling out big. So I have to remind everyone,
I like that. We know he's bullish, right?
buy that dip, stock them and hodl. And we are down, Armando. We're down 1.7 standard deviations over trading 20 days. And what does that mean? Over 5 years of data, that means we're at a 90% probability over 20 days it goes up. And
Like
for 60 trading days, which is a different type of elasticity of trading and emotional sentiment, we're down about 0.8 standard deviation. So once you go down one standard deviation, the math really starts becoming compelling over the next 60 days and 20 days to get a rebound. So I think that we're getting close to that by the territory.
All right. So in 2020, 21, I agree with you. I think that I think that Bitcoin specifically and crypto in general is going to go up. I think this is just a short-term setback. I think that people are just panicking, because of the hack that happened with Bybit. But I do believe that I agree with you 100%. I think that we're on the way for a hard rebound. Is there was a panic oversell, and I think we're going to rebound. So in 2020, 21, companies like Hive did very well when Bitcoin's price skyrocketed, right? And we're not seeing that as much this time. So I want to know your insights on that because I got this question all the time. Is like, oh, what happened to why the mining companies aren't going up like they did in 2021?
Well, I think one of the things is they all try to copy MicroStrategy, and they start doing these convertible notes. And the buyers of the convertible notes are hedge funds that really don't believe in Bitcoin. They believe it's a trend and it's a trade. So they have a quantitative mathematical model that says I can leverage if it's a debenture, and I want to get short the stock. So you can see on some of these numbers, like they come out with, we raised $750 million, but we turned around and we bought back stock. Well, why do they buy back stock? Because the guys are shorting their stock. They always short against it. And I've been frustrated about this because they're shorting also Hive because there's not enough position there. So we look at the total market cap of all the Bitcoin miners of 3 weeks ago was like 25 billion. Well, they were doing these deals at $1 billion a week. And so the amount of shorting by these characters are out there only suppressed them and created dislocation between the Bitcoin miners and where Bitcoin price is. So we found that we were a source of liquidity for these characters who are shorting against the industry to go along these convertibles. MicroStrategy is a complete different animal in doing this because they don't spend big money to buy equipment. If you go to raise a lot of money to go buy more equipment and you use these converts to buy more Bitcoin, you end up creating more stock. So if you look at the math says the dilution has been huge, in particular for the crypto mining companies by issuing stock faster than they've either hodled or they've been able to increase their production.
Yeah, so MicroStrategy to me is more like a trust. I mean, they don't have a lot of overhead and mostly administrative. They don't have to buy equipment. So yeah, so I really don't I'm a little bit like antsy about MicroStrategy going forward. I think that they are selling it, they are trading at a premium, and we know premiums collapse eventually. So I think that I would rather go with a mining company because I believe that the mining companies have sustainable business growth going forward, and it's not that big premium on top yet. I think it will come, but it's not there yet. I think that mining companies actually have a better potential going forward. So you guys moved to San Antonio, right?
Right. We moved to San Antonio, and that trend and the reason for that, it's a big picture. But one is about feeling safer. And we feel much safer now in America under the new political leadership that is pro blockchain, pro crypto. That's very, very significant because the overreaching by big, powerful government agencies in many countries in the world has been incredible. We've experienced this in Sweden, where they don't care about the law. They just, oh, we can go after Bitcoin. And you can see the agencies, how they use centralized media. We saw this in Canada where they used the accounting board to weaponize to go after anyone in the space in 2018. Now, all of a sudden, America is a safe jurisdiction. And that's a big reason, okay, we're going to be here. There's another important part of that puzzle, and that is your cost of capital if you're financing. And the cost of capital is less expensive in America if you are able to get into the indexes. So you can see the Hut 8s, they produce less Bitcoin than us, but their stock went up dramatically. And you say, why? It's because they moved to Miami, but they changed the ability that now they could get into the Russell 2000, and those indexes are huge. And so you see that was a very smart move by them to turn around to get index buying. It's really not Bitcoin advocates as much, just index buying. We saw last year Palantir leave the New York Stock Exchange to go to the NASDAQ because they then qualified to go to the QQQ. Well, that made the stock go up 80% also. So it's about getting liquidity. We're seeing now the second biggest gold mining company in the world, Barrick. It used to be 1% of the America's S&P 500 stock exchange. They went to Canada. Now they're coming back. And if they go into that index, then all of a sudden they'll get a new valuation and a rating because so much money is indexed. So we feel safer. We're coming back into America. We feel that our job for the shareholders get a lower cost of capital. And we feel now is the time. And we have not done anything in the US, but now we will. And in that journey, it's been a challenge to getting green energy. It's always been our focus. So we have this rapid expansion in Paraguay. And now we're going to look back into the US at this. You saw Coinbase last week come out with the news that the SEC is backing away on the assault of Coinbase, which was all comes from the previous leadership, Gary Gensler. Our SEC lawyers told us that he created more than 50 laws that Congress never asked for. So he basically was taking on huge amount of the legal department to create laws that he wanted on his own. And that's not what the agencies are. So I think we're going to swing back to the middle of what the great reputations of the SEC are all about. And I think that that's positive.
There was a lot of overreach by the SEC the last, what, 4 or 5 years. And like even with XRP, even with Coinbase, none of those cases to me from the beginning had any hope in being successful. I think it was done to maybe slow down the market or cause confusion. It was something I think I would just go down the conspiracy path here, but sinister or maybe some type of manipulation. That's my opinion. So in the next year, right? We got this is 2025. The halving was in May of 24. What do you think? What big shifts do you think would have to happen or are going to happen that's going to get mass retail involved? We haven't seen retail involvement like we've seen before in previous cycles. What do you think? What catalyst or what trigger or what do you think other than the price going up is going to cause mass retail to come into the market?
Is education. I regularly in my fund business talk to registered investment advisors, and now it's unprecedented the amount of money last year went into the Bitcoin ETFs. Yeah, and it's amazing they bought it only because a price. They didn't really understand about scarcity. They didn't understand Metcalfe's law that says if you do limit it to 21 million coins, the greater the adoption, the higher the price will go exponentially. Like Moore's law is the inverse to that. Metcalfe's law is about price appreciation. So these are, they're just not aware, but they're sophisticated people, Amanda. They're highly educated about wealth management advisory. The other part, which really surprised me, is they didn't know that one Bitcoin is 100 million Satoshis. And that when you go buy $1,000 worth of Bitcoin at Robinhood, you're really buying about 1 million Satoshis. And one Satoshi is 0.00067 cents, whatever it is, that it's always much less than a cent. And then at 1 penny, a Satoshi at 1 penny makes Bitcoin worth 1 million. That that little math is not resonated with what I was surprised with such sophisticated people that we do know that they're coming in to buy, say, Holmes. VanEck ETF. They come in to buy $1,000 or buying 1,000,000 Satoshis. If they bought $10,000 worth, all of a sudden they're buying 10 million Satoshis. So they understand it's like buying a penny stock and you're betting it to go up tenfold because you see why Metcalfe's law kicks in. They would take it. Do you see that? No. So I think this year will be the great year of education and what we're witnessing is sort of the overlap of one metaverse, the 34, they call the 1934 Securities Act of stocks and bonds and trading and securities is now merging with the metaverse and the ecosystem of crypto. And with that, you're just going to get this greater volatility coming, but it will change when we get clarity on the regulatory direction of where they're going.
So I agree with you. I think that the retail investor, even at $100,000, I think that Bitcoin is the number is too big for the average person to like conceptualize, and that keeps a lot of people come to me and say I don't have 100,000, and I say, well, you have to, whenever you have to explain something to somebody, you already lost them halfway. They have to know it just by just hearing it. So when do you think we'll denominate satoshis? Like how long? Like 5 years, 10 years, 1 year? Uh, I think that eventually the market will have to. It's like a stock split. If a stock gets too high, they have to split the stock in order to bring regular people and increase liquidity. So in order to increase liquidity in Bitcoin, in order to get everybody involved, I think that they're going to be forced to bring that down to a lower denomination, which is Satoshi. So when do you think that'll happen?
Exactly that. And I think when Warren Buffett did that a long time ago with creating a B class stock, it was a smaller denomination, and it's just a fraction mathematical of the main holding company, and that's what they did. I think as more people realize that 1 million Satoshis right now is $1,000. And you're buying the greatest penny stock. You want to speculate on $10,000 going to 100,000 for your kids' education, then you're buying 10 million Satoshis. And they have to recognize that. And so when Bitcoin hits $1 million, that Satoshi is actually going to be worth a penny, only a penny. But I think that we're going to see this change. And it's just people listening to your show and being more informed that they're buying Satoshis right now and putting away 10,000 for the kids' education is not a big risk for the potential return to pay for their education. And with the math suggestible higher. So they don't have to be starstruck about, oh, Bitcoin's $90,000. I don't have $90,000.
Last question. Give me one big prediction of where you think the crypto market or Bitcoin specifically is going before the end of the year.
Well, I think it has a very high probability of going to 200 and 250,000. We are going through one of those normal corrections. I mentioned at the beginning that we were up 2 standard deviations over 20 trading days only a month and a half ago. So we fell back to the mean. Now we've gone below that. When it goes back above, it goes up 2 standard deviations from these levels, we'll then run to 140. And we're the only crypto mining company right now this year that has a 400% embedded growth rate because we announced buying Bitfarms operations, majority of their operations in Paraguay.
That's pretty cool. So always a pleasure. I agree with you on the 200, 250 by the end of the year. I've always feel more confident that we're a lot of times in accord with our predictions. So, like I said, thank you for joining. I appreciate your time, and I hope to have you on soon.
And look up and don't forget, stay bullish.
I believe Hive and many other mining stocks are about to do very well for the rest of 2025, and here's why. First, Hive is expanding into Texas, the global hub for Bitcoin mining. Texas offers cheap energy, a crypto-friendly government, and houses some of the biggest mining operations in the world. This move will massively increase Hive's mining capacity and profitability. Second, Trump just announced the Crypto Strategic Reserve. The U.S. government is now stockpiling Bitcoin like it's gold. This gives crypto institutional legitimacy, reduces circulating supply, and pushes Bitcoin's price higher, all benefiting mining companies like Hive. Third, Trump's proposal to make crypto transactions tax-free, especially for corporations, could trigger a flood of capital into the space. Countries like El Salvador, Portugal, Switzerland, and the UAE have already done this and saw massive growth in crypto adoption. If the US follows, it could be a game changer for companies like Hive.